And we are live. Hi, everybody. I'm Spike.
I'm Cal.
I'm Amanda.
And wow, check out that elephant. We're totally going to ignore it today. It's huge and it takes up the whole room, and I refuse to look at it. I refuse to regard it in any way.
Let me go retweet and let people know we're live.
Just
look, I'm overstimulated. We did a really big Pride 2 game night last night, and it was very overstimulating.
Yeah, well, today has been very overstimulating from an administrative aspect, and we are all old here at the Geek Show. We are old
no,
people.
Never.
We are wretched, rotting husks squatting by our graves like goblins. And in our many centuries on this godforsaken rock floating through space, we have become aware of the dangers inherent in wild speculation.
No, I haven't.
And the concept of a enduring archive of opinions on professional matters that we might one day come to regret. And wish
that's like everything I say.
Like, well, I honestly think an important part of developing as a human being is eventually regretting everything you do and say. But
chat, no, bless your hearts, no.
Oh
no.
But yeah, this is one of those things where I am simultaneously at a crossroads where I feel I do not know enough to comfortably offer an opinion that would be remotely valid, and simultaneously,
well, here's the thing, there's no point even talking about it in vagaries, because in retrospect, this is going to mean nothing.
Yeah, and other.
So skip over it. Go. Talk about something else. Quick, go.
We're gonna talk about
something else.
Quickly.
Fucking anything. Anything else. Fucking anything.
So if a show like Strip Search were launched today, would you participate?
No.
Fuck no. God, no. Okay, I'm gonna back that up a little bit, because I have a feeling there are people who might be watching this who have no idea what Strip Search is. Okay, folks, back in the day, the folks who run Penny Arcade.
Okay, I gotta look up the year. Keep talking.
The folks who ran Penny Arcade and all the PAX events these days, they floated the idea of a reality show.
It was almost 10 years ago.
Yeah, for cartoonists. That was called Strip Search. A lot of folks we know, and an Iron Circus cartoonist or two were featured on Strip Search. And it was one of those things where it felt like they were just running it up the flagpole to see who would salute.
Oh, you want Spike's voice to be here? Let me crank the audio for everybody, and we have to do some audio juggling, because everyone's audio is balanced different, and I gotta. And also, Spike likes to not sit near her mic when she talks.
I am sitting exactly as far from my mic as you always tell me to. So there. But yeah, Strip Search is one of those deals where, in another world, maybe
turn Kel up.
If they had waited 5 years for the mushrooming explosion of independent media channels that were slavering for content,
I'll lower my volume.
maybe it could have worked, but it never really came to anything. And no, I would not be on a modern Strip Search, because
I'm not talking about that show specifically. I mean, even a Strip Search alike.
Yeah.
Oh,
like,
hey,
I watched a
guy watching.
Tell him to leave.
All right, here's the thing. I used to watch a ton of Drag Race, and one of my favorite queens was Bianca Del Rio. And Bianca Del Rio has been notably absent from all the reunions and all-stars and tours and what have you. And when people ask Bianca why she doesn't do all the Drag Race stuff, she says, it's kind of like high school. I had a great time, but I think I've learned everything I need to learn, and I don't want to go back. And that I'm kind of in that point right now. I feel like Strip Search isn't for people like me. I feel like I would be taking up a space that would be better utilized by some bright-eyed and bushy-tailed 23-year-old,
Well, here's the thing is, even if it existed when you were 23, I think it's still not for you. Because you write stories and not jokes.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I think I think a flaw with I think any kind of, I think comics is extremely hard to make competitive.
Yeah, it's a very solitary pursuit in a lot of ways.
But yeah, like by the very nature of the name Strip Search, I think like it's not for any of us because we don't make.
That's why I just meant a strip search alike. Like if it was maybe specifically geared to narrative long form comics. Like I'm not specifically talking about it's for strips.
I could even posit the argument that a modern version of Strip Search might be just kind of putting on your cutest dress, painting your face, getting on the fuck me pumps, and going over to webtoons and waggling around and hoping senpai notices you.
What the fuck does that mean, Spike?
You know, just like putting your comic up on Webtoon, knowing that Webtoon gets shows on Netflix and gets people paid.
Only for the specific program. And you have to be a part. You don't get like upgraded to that program.
Yeah,
so where do they come from if they don't come from the Webtoon site?
They headhunt and they have applications, but like
it's just headhunt on their own site.
No, they headhunt, but not on their own site.
That's weird.
Yeah. So the thing is,
if a really talented person shows up on their site, they won't just upgrade them.
They won't. No, Spike. What they do is they'll tell them to pitch a different story.
Oh, see, no, that's what I mean, though.
Yeah, but like, nobody goes to Webtoons thinking, "Oh, I'm going to get picked up for Webtoons." The whole, from what I understand, on the internals and who gets picked to be what do they call it? Canvas originals.
Hi, Casey.
Originals.
Yes, hello, Casey. Yeah, the originals. It's very, very divorced from the people who end up as originals. Are very, very divorced from the people who are on the canvas. Sometimes they will go completely off site to pull people in for originals.
Yeah,
it's hit or miss.
Actually, they
Drunk
have been
duck.
intentionally picking people that aren't on the site already because talking to the editors that work there now, they want to get slightly away from the manga aesthetic. So they're reaching out to American creators that like their art style is not what you think of when you think of webtoons. But yeah, they're not reaching out to people that are on the there for free hosting.
Also, I see Untitled Project in the comments there said, I didn't realize PAX and Penny Arcade is one and the same.
Yep.
I am feeling the urge to tell the story now, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. This is some
I can't remember which story this is. I'm scared.
This is some webcomics B-side bullshit. This is some deep lore. This is like the ancient magics. Don't quote them to me. I was there when they were written. That's what this is. Okay.
This Robert Koo getting hired?
Yes. Once upon a time,
I don't know this story.
Penny Arcade was just like, it was the heaviest hitter in webcomics that you could be. There is the Penny Arcade effect where if they linked your site as like a source of promo, they would just simply crash your site, crash the server your site was on, crash everything. I am the proud owner of the I Crashed Webcomics Nation merit badge because Penny Arcade linked my old webcomic Temple, Arizona on their front page, and I took down every single Webcomics Nation server in my in my moment in the spotlight from Penny Arcade. So that was how powerful they were. I believe, did they call it getting wanged or something when Penny Arcade linked you? It was something like that.
That sounds like
I don't know. That's from the side of like comics I didn't care about, so I didn't hear none of that.
Yeah, but I got wanged. I'm not the only person who got wanged. But
I know the story about them hiring Robert Koo. I kind of did not pay attention to them a whole lot other than that.
The deal with, but for folks who don't know, so the guy, Penny Arcade is made by a 2-person team, and at some point they were approached by a Silicon Valley type guy named Robert Koo. And Robert Koo basically talked to them and said, hey, here's the deal. You have this enormous audience, and I feel I could very successfully exploit that audience for you. I could make everyone involved with Penny Arcade rich. And to prove it, I will work for you for completely free for a year. And at the end of that year, if you don't like what I do, you can send me on my way and that's fine.
No. He put a specific number on it. If I haven't earned what I would ask as a salary in a year,
yeah,
then we can part ways and no, like it, because he specifically said it was he earned his salary. Yeah. So yeah,
I said at the end of the year he wanted 1/3 of the net profits of Penny Arcade in perpetuity, and he got it. And to this day, I'm pretty sure he still gets it. But the reason there are PAX shows, or I mean, I don't know what COVID has done to them.
No, they still go.
They still go?
Okay. Oh yeah, they definitely still go.
They go so much that people aren't even aware that they're connected to Penny Arcade.
Yeah, a lot of very few people these days know that.
Yeah, but that is a Penny Arcade thing, PAX. And yeah, Robert Koo is the reason PAX exists, and I remember he made them.
Sorry,
he made.
I'm sitting on sass. I'll save it for later. Oh God.
Yeah, he made that kind of. He made Penny Arcade what it is today, and as far as I know, these days he's just a passive partner, and he's gone back to Silicon Valley, and he may be in an incubator now. He may be as part of a venture capital fund now. I'm not sure what he does, but he still gets passively 1/3 of everything Penny Arcade makes, even though he's not directly involved.
I mean, he has some good business advice.
Oh, no, I would never say he hasn't earned it. I'm just saying that that is the story of Robert Koo.
I thought this was going to be more interesting.
No, he didn't do anything terrible. He didn't do anything scary. He was just a guy who showed up and looked at the bear.
Oh, that's true. Casey says that it's on purpose that no one knows PAX is Penny Arcade. Yeah, that's probably why.
Interesting. Well, I wonder why on purpose.
Yeah, because,
they had before PAX, as PAX was taking off, they had a lot of fucking drama. A lot of you know, we didn't call it canceling then, but that was like canceling bullshit.
Yeah,
so it's kind of like it is partly sort of a secret that they're the ones that run PAX or started PAX to avoid drama, and that is also the reason why Koo decided to become a silent partner rather than continue to be a public part of it.
And yeah, Electrode, PAX stands for Penny Arcade Expo. That's why it's PAX.
And so, but the thing that I remember that he recommended that is actually useful, and I do tell people to, I do repeat the advice that he gave, is he recommends a book called Why We Buy, The Science of Shopping.
Oh, I loved that audiobook.
Yeah, that's all about manipulating people into giving you money.
My favorite chapter is the one about why restaurants do not, or at least upper class restaurants do not put bathrooms at the front of their restaurant.
And then it's also like at the beginning he talks about the milk is in the back of the grocery store because they want you to walk past the cookies when you run in to get milk. And that's, so it's all the stuff that like you never go into a grocery store to specifically buy junk food. I mean, some people probably do, but like it's usually if you're
running in to get some milk, some bread,
or eggs or bread, and that's why all that's in the back. And that's why stuff like gum and candy is near the register. Okay. Because they want to...
Abby wants to know, because I said there's a chapter about why nice restaurants do not put their bathrooms at the front of the restaurant. Because that's where... Now, this might be this is an old book, okay? So this might be an outdated reference. But the idea is that nice upper-class restaurants in the cities, that is where the prostitutes would go to wash themselves up.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That is frequently why bathrooms are not up front, especially with nicer restaurants, is because they don't want people who aren't dining there to use the restroom.
Matt is here.
Oh, hello, Matt.
But yeah, so it's also full of like useful stuff like The reason why I have individual price tags for all my shit at conventions is because it talks about like the average person looks at a sign for 30 seconds, regardless of how much info is on the sign. So making a big list of all your prices is not... That's asking for people to ask, how much is this? Because they can't register all the prices in like 30 seconds.
I imagine this book has something to say too about. I haven't done a convention in a while, but I remember the little bits of convention wisdom people would always pass around. And one of the most difficult books to always get rid of on the table is your last copy of any one title.
Oh yeah, nobody wants to like buy the last one.
Yeah.
I think also no, keep talking.
I was just saying, I remember for a while that the way I would do it is I would bring, cartons and cartons of books on for sale, and no matter how many books I had behind a table, I would always endeavor to have at least 3 copies of everything out, and like no more than 3 or 4, just a pile of 3 or 4, because that seemed to be the sweet spot where no one really felt weird buying the 3rd book or the 4th book. And if there were 2 on the table, that was kind of unusual, and then that last one would lie there for an hour, no matter how quickly all the other copies
once I learned that, my cheat was always just to put unrelated books underneath the last copy.
Yeah, I mean, I did that too, and that helped move it. That helped it get out of there, and people just wouldn't pick it up if it was the final copy.
The other thing is people don't want to mess up a nice display, so
you
should always have the top book be slightly crooked.
Yeah, I remember, I think multiple times I've had people that was so long ago, it's like, 2 years ago, I'm going to lie down on the floor. Since, what was my last convention, like 3 years ago? Put me in the dirt. But people would come by and like, let me like straighten I'm sorry I messed everything up. So they'd straighten all my stacks, and then I'd come right behind them and tilt everything. It's like, no, they need to be messed up or people think they can't touch them. So I'd like go and mess up all my stacks.
And then, and then the other thing in it is, yes, Ritza, that is the, it is Why We Buy by Paco Underhill.
Yep, that's the one.
The thing is it was written like over 10 years ago, so
there's a new revised version.
The chapter is fucking hilarious.
Oh yeah, the internet. Yes.
One day in the future, we will do this. But it's also H Bomber guy saying my last con was in 2019.
Same.
That's one of all of our last conventions.
Was that Kala?
Yeah.
Oh, that was fun. Kala was so much fun.
I think my last con was SPX in
I have waxed poetic about Kala too much, but that was fun.
Yeah, you took up like 2 episodes.
It was wonderful. It was a magical con that I feel will not be repeated. It's a perfect, beautiful con.
I'm gonna shove you. Wait, I know what to do.
Get the gun out.
The other fun thing in the book is it talks about how people think of stuff in intervals of 20. So if you're trying to upsell someone, someone is just as likely to buy a $15 book as they are to buy a $20 book. So, every time you go over 20, that's when like the drop off happens. So.
There's a hesitation point that exists when you're pricing books, and in the Iron Circus Slack, which both Cal and Amanda are in, we have had discussions about, okay, so here's the book, and what should we be charging for this book? And we happen to work with a person who has a lot of bookstore experience, and I mean like kind of like on the floor of the bookstore talking to consumers, and he has a lot of opinions on book prices that have been really valuable. And there is a price point that feels worth it for certain size books, and there's a price point where it feels like it's a deal no matter how thin the book is. Like, you pay a printer maybe $3 more per book for something like hardcover or gold leaf or something like that, but that allows you to tack on like an extra $10 or $15, because when it moves from sort of paperback with an embossed effect to hardcover with a embossed gold leaf kind of effect.
Yeah, it's perceived value.
It's perceived value. It's the same way people use $4 of gold flake on a $1 donut and then charge $50. It's worth more because it's fancy.
Well, to some people.
And the back and forth of how fancy can we make this, along with how eye-catching can we make this? Because these days, to encourage people to pick up the book in the first place, it helps to have some kind of little eye catch, like an anime opening, and those tend to take the form of cover effects. And so we add things like iridescence and embossing, and
I do that shit on my minis by hand.
Yeah, gold leaf and stuff like that, and it helps. It works. It absolutely works. And to make a book look, air quotes, expensive, there's a lot of little tricks you can do, and they help.
Yeah. I think there's also like the blank tax. Like I know for Smut Peddler, there's the porn tax. It's like people are gonna buy this. Where else are you gonna get this?
Mm-hmm.
From Walmart? No.
Mm-hmm. There's a porn premium.
So why we buy The Science of Shopping? It's a fun book. The internet chapter is unintentionally hilarious.
I did like the chapter that was speculating about the future, about how marketing is going to have to take into account the fact that Americans are living longer, healthier and longer lives, and marketing is going to have to keep in mind there is an entire market that exists and is growing of like people over like 60 who are thriving, and they are like a market, a niche that needs to be catered to. And I just thought that was a really interesting chapter.
Yeah, and they're active. People in their 60s and 70s these days are more active than people in their 60s and 70s of previous generations. And I watch commercials differently than I used to. And when I say that, I always watch commercials and sort of try and pick apart what's this about? What are they trying to tell me? Because these days the thing in marketing is identity. It's not so much, hey everybody, here's a minivan. The minivan has this, the minivan has that. The minivan has an amazing heated seat. The minivan has this many miles per gallon. And they're just being very practical and giving you very solid reasons. Here's why you buy the minivan. Whereas now, when I say identity is part of the marketing, they'll show like, hi, I'm a sassy and rugged woman in a cowboy hat, and here comes my wild and wacky kids. It's always been like that. They don't actually talk about like the car.
Yeah, they've all done that.
Here's what's not always. No.
Yes, always.
But Spike, that has to do with that has always been a thing, and that has to do with branding. So the first thing that you gave, that is that particular type of car's brand, is probably safety, and we have features and gadgets, and so they know that the people that like their cars usually are going to them for safety features or good mileage.
Yeah. But when I talk about this, I'm talking about the difference is like cigarette ads used to be, these are recommended by doctors.
Some
and they
used to
better.
be like that, but they
they had tons of cigarette ads before. Let me finish that. Before cigarette ads after that were like, you've come a long way, baby. We're Virginia Slims, and you're a powerful and independent woman.
That's branding. So like the thing is like, so the like I said, the one that's going over the safety features, that's because their brand is safety. But then there has always been like rugged tough car, blah blah blah. Like that is not actually selling you on features of the car, but like you're an adventurer, and that's because that's their brand. Like Toyota is really into like, we're rugged brand or whatever, and so their car commercials have always focused on like, get our trucks and like drive through the wilderness and blah blah blah.
They have definitely not always focused on that. No.
Some of the absolute earliest cigarette ads were completely peer pressuring. They mentioned none of the benefits and just, this makes you look cool.
Well, I mean, yeah, some do. I'm still talking though that when I say it's about identity, like an example is Marlboro. Marlboro used to be a women's cigarette, and then it suddenly became this, oh, here's the Marlboro Man cigarette. And nothing functionally changed about Marlboro except who they decided to push it on.
Okay.
And but the Marble Man was decades ago, so this is something that's been going on for ages.
I'm very confused.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's something that happened in the last 5 years. I'm saying it's something that I've observed over my lifetime. When I was a kid, car commercials were different than they are now. That's what I'm saying.
I remember them being extremely similar.
Different. Yeah, no. So the thing is
they would have never done the ad when I was a kid of sneering at people drinking kombucha in a minivan.
Yeah, they did stuff like that.
Like what?
I don't remember, but I remember tons of ads like that.
There have always been cars that are focused on, like, we're tough guy adventurer cars. Like
maybe the identity they are specifically catering to is changing?
You probably saw the safety features cars when you were younger because people buying ad slots assumed that whatever you were watching, that like a family was watching it, and so because they're targeting families, they're focusing on safety features for your children, so buy our car because your children will be safe, rather than buy our car because you're an adventurer, so and so, cowboy guns, yeehaw.
I'm not sure that tracks.
I guess almost every company who's done commercials, like even for cars, they usually have 3 different commercials, each aimed at 3 different people.
Matt's in there saying, folks got to understand how much old-time Radio Spike and I have listened to. There's literally a time before advertisers even thought about appealing to people's emotions. Yes.
And yet I've seen like print ads that predate radio that appealed to people's emotions.
What I'm saying is that, yes, there have always been ads where they got Ronald Reagan out to say, oh man, I'm a fucking movie star and I'm the best. And here is some cigarettes that I smoke because I'm such a sophisticated movie star. They had the celebrity endorsement thing, which can be interpreted as a kind of identity, a kind of sort of basic monkey politics where I want to be cool like Ronald Reagan, the actor, not the president, by the way. I want to be cool like Ronald Reagan, so I'm going to smoke this brand of cigarette. I'm not denying that that didn't happen. I'm just saying these days it feels like we live in a advertising landscape that leans much more heavily on establishing identity through consumerism than it used to.
I don't see it, but okay.
Yeah. This is just something I've been observing where it's like, okay, cool. Why should I buy your pickup truck? Because you're a Ram. What?
Okay, but so I agree with you on identity through consumerism being more prevalent in our current day.
And a great example of that too, by the way, would be a great example of that too.
But I'm also saying, like, that type of advertising that you're describing has existed since the 50s and 60s.
I'm sure that there are examples from the 50s and 60s, but what I'm talking about is an acceleration of that. And I think it's perfectly personified in sort of the reinterpretation and the mass commercialization of, and you can imagine the sneer and air quotes here, geek culture, which I could fucking bitch about this all day. But once upon a time, within living memory of everyone in this room, like this sort of geek, nerd, comic, tchotchke, Star Trek, D&D person was not considered worth marketing to. And nowadays, it almost feels to me like it has been reduced to nothing but identity through consumerism. Like, you're not a nerd because you read books or know things. You're a nerd because you have 3 science is awesome t-shirts and tweet at Neil deGrasse Tyson and have a Einstein Funko Pop.
I think, but nerds have always been that way. I think just the demographic of nerds is bigger. Yeah. Nerds have always been like that and even self-policed each other. I think they're just actually a marketable demographic now and they weren't before.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. They used to be not marketed to. And while
Right,
I'm sure nerds existed that were very gatekeepy, that used to be a massive part of being a nerd because nerds felt very much under threat and under siege by people who straight up didn't like them for their interests and obsessions. But at this point now, nerd, the concept, and again, this is opinion, is so fully divorced from any aspect of intellectualism, it's kind of shocking.
I think that's just language evolving.
So,
I don't think that's language evolving. I think that's the assault of marketing.
well, so this is the thing, Spike, is I agree with you that nerd culture has been consumerized more. But, like, your original example of cars, like, I feel like that is a bad example on your part about advertising changing, because cars have kind of always been
a lifestyle product
on its thing, because that is like what we're gonna, that is how we're gonna get our niche, so and so, because like not everything can be the luxury Ferrari or Jaguar car, but like so they go for different niches of like built Ford tough, like cowboy, you're working on the farm and this truck's gonna be there for you, or like that, like I mentioned, like during family shows it's gonna be stuff that I think Subaru is the one that focuses on safety, but I only
I think they all do depending on who they're advertising to. Because I've even seen commercials. I've watched one channel where a Ford truck is like, it's like American flags and eagles and it's splashing through mud. And then I've been on another channel, the exact same truck. It's just about all its safety features.
Adam Russo has said identity has become attached to morality a lot more lately, and advertising now focuses on turning brand choice into more of a morality issue. Yes, very much so. Morality has entered buying, as morality has become part of the decision of what you buy. And this is actually a thing that got covered in a seminar that my distributor held, talking about marketing trends, how people will go out of their way to buy the local honey.
I'm just going to have to back out of this conversation because I think I'm just too stupid for it.
No, don't do that.
What?
No,
I mean, I don't know shit.
No,
this is
don't
not
back out.
No, this is not self-denigrating. I'm realizing I don't have the experience on this subject.
No, it's just don't leave.
I'm not leaving. I'm saying I'm backing out of the conversation until the subject changes because I clearly lack experience to speak on it.
Like, I took several classes in advertising, which is where a lot of my stuff is coming from.
And I'm a dumbass, so like I don't know what I'm saying. No,
stop right now.
No, I won't.
So like,
no self-deprecation.
It's not self-deprecation. It's honesty.
Call yourself a dumbass. It's self-deprecation, Amanda.
No, it's not. I don't feel bad about it. That's just the truth.
I'm gonna fucking ignore you. I'm gonna fucking ignore you.
So yeah, so like, so I got like, some like brief history of like how advertising developed and whatnot. And I know that like, you remember when there were all those weird commercials where you couldn't?
Yes, trying to force virality.
Do you know what the term for that is?
No.
The term is advertising.
Like the berries and cream boy.
Yes. And we actually got like in our class we got like given a lesson using the berries and cream boy on what is a successful advertising campaign and what is a poor advertising campaign.
I wonder what a modern marketing class would have to say these days about like the extreme sincerity of certain social media accounts like Steakums.
Yeah, so like so the thing is with the advertising, the reason why it didn't stick around, like people still do it to a little bit, like, but it's not as trendy as it was during the berries and cream boy time.
Yeah, I definitely saw an example of that this morning.
But the reason why it is not as prevalent is because people wouldn't remember what the product was. They would remember the commercial and think it's funny, but they would not remember that Berries and Cream Boy is about Starburst.
Oh, see, that's funny you should say that because I just thought it was about Skittles.
Me too. I thought it was about Skittles.
Oops.
No. So actually, the Skittles was an example of a good one because all the Skittles advertising ones, while they were weird, they all focused on the size and shape of the Skittles. So, like, one of the Skittles advertisements from that time is the guy who everything he touches turns to Skittles.
Yeah.
So it would be like he touches his desk and then the Skittles fly everywhere. So you have that visual memory of them rolling everywhere and scattering. So you at least remember it's a candy that is that shape. So it's either going to be Skittles or it's going to be M&Ms. And since M&Ms didn't really veer into advertising, it had to be Skittles. And so Berries and Cream Boy, there is nothing about it that tells you that it is Starburst specifically. And that is why it is not a good advertising campaign.
I just saw an ad, excuse me, today on YouTube that was like an office party. And it was like, oh, we're at a boring office party. And then someone opens the fridge and there's some sort of beverage, one of those cardboard 12 packs, and someone's head just pokes out of the 12 pack, still in the fridge. And it's one of those deals where his body could not possibly fit in there, but his normal human sized head is poking out of the end of it. And he just starts chanting fruit, 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 fruit. And, once again, I don't remember what this was an ad for, but I remember that there's just this guy in the fridge with this like 80 gelled spike hair and sunglasses chanting fruit in a box of drinks.
Yeah, but so that's like why advertising did not stick around as much as it did like when it first started.
I can imagine. Yeah, it doesn't work. Like I literally didn't remember what Berries and Cream Boy was about, and I don't remember what the drinks were about. Fruit, yeah, probably. So,
and then our professor told us what's his favorite modern commercial, and this is 10 years ago, so it's a 10-year-old commercial now, but I do remember the commercial very well. It's someone throwing out what looks like a Pixar lamp, and it plays sad music, and it's on the curb.
The IKEA commercial, yeah. The new lamp is much better.
Yeah. And it's just like all the framing is to make you feel bad for the lamp, and then the guy comes out and goes, "Do you feel bad for this lamp? That is because you're crazy. The new one is much better."
Lamp does not have feelings.
Feelings? Yeah.
Yeah, I remember, I think my favorite recent ad, because I sat there and I watched... No, you know what? I have two recent favorite ads. One is not recent at all, and one is fairly recent. The fairly recent one is the trailer for The Green Knight, where it's just somebody narrating it, telling you about the legend of King Arthur and the Green Knight, and it's just really fucking good. And I watched that like 15 times. And the not quite so new one, and I don't know why, I just go back and watch it every once in a while, is, and I'm going to try and do the GLaDOS voice as well as I can here. What's inside the orange box? That one. And it's something that was really, really short, and it ran on TV for a while. And it was just this commercial for a thing you could buy at like Babbage's and Micro Center and whatnot. That was the orange box. And inside the orange box was Half-Life 2, TF2, and Portal. And all, Valve's 3 best games. And honestly, it was just sort of like an undercover thing to try and get people to start using Steam. Because when you opened the orange box, from what I've heard, all that was in there was like a piece of paper with Steam codes. So you had to go and actually sign up for Steam. And it was narrated by the woman who does GLaDOS's box. And it just opens up with like this weird music. It just goes, "What's inside the orange box?" And it talks about the best multiplayer game of all time, the greatest game ever made. And, it's just like quoting people saying amazing things about Valve games.
I think movie trailers I feel like are especially interesting because I feel like when there's a really good movie trailer, it sticks with me sometimes better than the movie itself. One of my favorite movie trailers is for the Facebook movie.
Didn't
because
catch
it's
that
just
one.
someone browsing Facebook while a children's choir sing "Creep" by Radiohead. And I was like, that's really good at like effectively piquing your interest about like the Facebook movie. I don't think the Facebook movie is a particularly great movie, but like I think the trailer is one of the better trailers out there. The other one of my other favorite movie trailers is the SpongeBob movie trailer, because it just starts so serious that like then the turn to it being for SpongeBob is very funny.
I'm trying to remember that one. I don't think I saw that one.
It's basically it's like a dramatic like shot of the ocean, and like dramatic voices like questions have plagued us ever since humanity could ponder their existence, and it like pops up, who are we? Why are we here? What is the meaning of life? And it's like, and as it like pans over the ocean, it then says, finally, we get the answer to one question: who lives in a pineapple under the sea? And then it does the usual SpongeBob stuff.
Okay.
So it's very good, like, twist.
Also,
For
now that
SpongeBob.
I'm sitting here thinking about it, I like pretty much like every A24 trailer I've ever seen. So like the trailer for Everything Everywhere All at Once, I love that. The trailer for Marcel the Shell, I love that. The trailer for Lamb, I love that. So it's like anything. I'm a stupid whore for A24.
I was not as keen on the trailer for Lamb.
I fucking I love that. I love that sort of
It didn't
freaky. Let's
super
not
like
even
pique
explain
my
it.
interest. Uh, the trailer for Men did a better job piquing my interest than the trailer for Lamb.
Oh men. Oh, I remember. See, one of the things I fucking love about the trailer for Men is I could just picture the kind of guy that would be really offended there's a horror movie simply called Men.
I feel like that's maybe not the best title. But
Oh, I think that's an amazing title. I haven't seen the movie, so I don't know how accurate it is, but
that's where I feel like it's maybe not the best. I haven't seen it yet, but like, cause it's, I don't know, like, I feel like I was interested until my interest declined when I saw the title of the movie. I am interested in like one guy playing an entire village in that movie.
I'm interested in Marcel the Shell because how often do you fucking see a movie like that? Have you seen the trailer for that one?
No, I have not.
Yeah, it's a stop motion thing, and it's based on this short that got released like years and years ago. And I guess A24 just gave him a shitload of money and was like, make a movie. And it's just this little shell with one eye that wears sneakers. And I believe his full name is Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. And he just sits there and talks about how tiny he is in the short film. You can go look it up. I'm sure it's still online. In the short film, he just talks about how small he is. He's like, ask me how many of these it would take to weigh the same as me. Ask me this, ask me that. And he's just kind of got this very childlike affect. And in the trailer, he is going around looking for other shells, and he lives with his grandma, who is Isabella Rossellini, I'm pretty sure. And it's just weirdly charming and strange, and like kind of like I really really appreciate production houses like Adult Swim and A24 that are kind of just out there making weird shit nobody else would want to run a risk on, because film and television are so, how am I going to say this without making like a ton of enemies? Film and television are
putting out interesting things.
Yeah, they are overseen by and large by risk averse people who want to make mediocre product that challenges as few people as possible. And when I say challenges, I'm not saying like outright insults or, is too complicated for. I mean, just they want to make cheese pizza for the entire class, and cheese pizza is, just okay. And if I had time, I would go into my whole big theory about how I think a lot of people don't realize other kinds of pizza exist anymore. That's how pervasive cheese pizza is in the pop culture landscape where people have eaten it for so long that when I have a slice of cheese pizza, I'm all like, wow, this is what you were raving about? This is what you think is the best shit on earth? Really? Wow. But whatever.
But I think safe was the word that you were looking for.
Yes, extremely safe. Like, I think a perfect example of Hollywood's, I don't want to say cowardice.
No, so here's an example is, in Good Omens, there's a joke that the only musical that heaven likes is The Sound of Music. And I had to explain why that is the joke. And it's because The Sound of Music is the safest musical in the history of musicals.
Yeah.
The good guy is a lady who was going to become a nun, and the villains are Nazis. Like, so it's like plucky children and their nun that watches them and versus Nazis. Like,
yeah. Yeah. And the thing is, here's the thing. If you love cheese pizza, I'm not here saying you are not allowed to love cheese pizza. That's cool. But cheese pizza is indisputably the safest choice. And large media production houses will invariably serve cheese pizza after cheese pizza after cheese pizza. And if you love cheese pizza, you are in luck. But if you are like me and you like anchovy and olive, you know, I'll eat the cheese pizza if it's there, but it's not a thing I seek out. And I think there are a lot of people that don't even realize anchovy and olive pizza exists, if I could just absolutely torture the metaphor to death. Because as a publisher, when I put out things like, I don't know, Yes Roya, or The Less Than Epic Adventures of TJ and Amal, or The Lonesome Era, and you put those into the world, I get a lot of replies and responses and emails and reactions at conventions that are just like, I didn't know something like this was even real. I didn't know anyone was even making this. And I've had to explain to people who are like, are there like 15 different volumes of Yes Roy out there I just don't know about by all these different people? Is this a whole genre? And I have to be all like, no, sorry. It's pretty much just me out here doing this.
Google femdom.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I wish there was more, but there is not. That's kind of what I'm talking about.
You just gotta Google femdom.
Well, the thing is, if you Google femdom, by and large, what you're going to run into is content that prioritizes male gaze. And the people who talk to me about, is there more stuff like Yes Roya? They're not asking, is there more femdom out there? A lot of the people who talked to me about it told me straight up they thought they didn't like femdom, when what they really mean is, I don't like femdom that prioritizes male pleasure and male gaze. And there's shockingly little out there that does anything else.
I'm reading the chat.
Fair enough. Amanda, you still with us?
Mm-hmm. I had water in my mouth.
Okay. Just making sure you're still there.
Yeah.
And Matt Sheridan says, Hollywood movies are so stupidly expensive to make that they're kind of forced to restrict themselves to the surest bets available. Yep. When people talk about, like, why is this movie making this big deal to be so careful about China? Why is this movie doing this? Why is this movie doing that? Probably because they want to be able to release the movie in China. Probably because they're desperate to make sure that they make back that $100 million that last scene cost them, Film at this point is so expensive that they can't.
There's a YouTuber I like, James Somerton, who actually, like, picked apart the, like, oh, we can't have queer content because we want China to buy it, and pulled apart how that is absolute complete BS, and that it's just Hollywood using China as a scapegoat, as an excuse to not put out queer content, because frequently China doesn't give a fuck about US movies, and even when they get US movies, they, like, might it is impossible to know how many tickets actually sold in China, because frequently Chinese theaters will record the sale as a sale for a Chinese movie to inflate their own numbers, to be like, we don't need your Western media anyway. So it is really just Hollywood using China as a racist scapegoat.
See, that's interesting because I do remember a comparison between the movie posters for one of the more recent Star Wars movies, the Chinese version and the American version, and the Chinese version had Finn photoshopped out.
Yeah.
So that doesn't feel like a smokescreen.
They're still doing that too, but it's like the Chinese poster photoshopped out Finn, but that doesn't mean they cut all his scenes from the movie.
Well, no, I don't think they cut his scenes from the movie. That'd be pretty hard. I'm just saying that they definitely do make actual real changes for release in China in the marketing.
Like in the marketing, yes, but as in like the actual content of the movie, like China's maybe just did not show that movie anyway. Like it's not actually helping Hollywood to do this. Other than they have a convenient excuse to not put in queer content now.
Yeah, I can imagine that's partially true, but I also do think, like, I know for a fact China has some very weird rules about media.
Yeah, no, they definitely have those real weird rules. It's just more of a, it is not benefiting Hollywood to cater to them.
Abby, don't. Abby, don't stop. But yes, there's absolutely a dearth of femdom porn that is actually attractive to the dominant female. That is very true. Most of the porn I script comes out of annoyance and anger that I am not being catered to. Ever. Hi, Badger. What did we talk about? We talked about advertising. We talked about film. We talked about marketing. And we talked about all the stuff we are definitely not going to talk about because no one here is qualified to say anything about it.
We also kind of sort of talked about strip search and the history and like
and
that PAX and PAX a little.
PAX, yeah. Oh god, we just had a conversation in the Iron Circus Slack. It wasn't really a conversation. It was like 3 sentences where Amanda was all like, "So are we just like not doing cons for 2022?" And I'm all like, "Yep." We're just not. We're just fucking not.
I mean, that was a conversation back in February.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
And it's nothing against people. It's nothing against cons.
You just remember that conversation because I gave you an update on the convention things. Basically, I was thinking about going to Worldcon to like do some recon for Iron Circus. But plane tickets to Chicago are really expensive, and maybe it's not worth it.
Yeah, cons are in a weird place right now where they're definitely happening, and people are definitely holding them, and people are definitely attending to exhibit and to shop. But I'm not comfortable with either of those.
Next week.
Yeah, I say what?
I'm going to San Diego Comic-Con next week.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. San Diego Comic-Con is happening, and No. No. Because all I can think about is every time I would do a con, I would have maybe a 70% chance of bringing back a cold. And I just have no faith people are not disgusting and filthy because there seem to be people out there who are just really, really happy about pretending we're not still in the middle of a global pandemic. And they'll walk everywhere with their faces hanging out and not washing their hands with no hand sanitizer. And they're just like, over it. And I'm not.
So, I went to C2E2 2020, the last con before they all got canceled for COVID. But that was the first con where I got a little plush wolf to display my werewolf anthology. And at C2E2, 1 million people petted that plush wolf.
Ew.
So while setting up for Emerald City, I made my friend Molly crack up because we were setting up and she was like, "Oh, your little wolf is so cute." And I'm like, "Yeah, He's probably full of COVID. But
yeah, let's imagine all the diseases on that wolf.
Yeah. Everyone petted him at Emerald City too, so he's just collecting all the diseases.
Fucking gross. I'm sure like cons are cool and everything now, and everybody's happy
No.
to pretend everything is fine and
No.
go to them and buy comics and talk to
No.
people, but I just really don't want to.
No. I also don't want to, but I'll lose my table if I don't go.
Yeah, and I think I've talked about this before. I think I talked about it as far back as the Dirty Old Ladies podcast, but I feel Iron Circus is currently at this weird crossroads where cons used to be paydays, and now they're kind of like shrug okay paydays. They're not like massive paydays like they used to be because of just the volume that we bring along. We have to get a lot of table space, and we are kind of at this crossroads where we can just surrender the concept of cons as straight money makers anymore and just get a much bigger booth and put together a display with a capital D and have one of those ceiling hang things and just pay $10,000 and just sort of hope we make it back and break even and just consider it a marketing get your name out there kind of event. But at the same time, I'm not convinced that's the best way to go about things anymore.
Matt is in the chat saying, turns out surface transmissions isn't as big a threat of COVID as we feared. So for real, COVID wolf is probably innocent. That may be true, Matt, but I'm sure he has other plagues on him now.
Oh,
well,
God,
at least the good
the
thing with him is most
him?
hotels have washers and dryers. You throw him in a dryer, it's fine.
Yeah.
Probably put him in the fridge. I'm just saying, if you want to, if you want to sanitize it, you can put it in a washing machine, dryer, or you can put him in the fridge overnight.
Yeah,
that'll do a lot.
I'm just blown away by people who they can't fucking wash their hands.
Yeah,
and they just breathe. There's a GIF that was going around Twitter for a while that was a computer simulation of what it's like to talk to someone who isn't masked. And they were just face to face. The two mannequins were face to face talking, and one of them was just like blowing this massive directed stream of particles directly into the face of the other one because they were talking. And the person who had that image in their tweet just said, "I can't believe I used to let people just do this shit to me." And that has just fucking haunted me ever since I saw it. Just this absolute tornado, this fire hose of just death particles being showered all over this person's face just in a normal conversation.
I cannot recommend microwaving the wolf. A lot of things can go wrong with that.
That is quitter talk.
That
monkeypox. Yeah, that's mostly UK right now. For some reason, the UK just can't get enough. Everyone's got monkeypox over there. I heard that if you've had chicken pox, you don't really need to worry about it. I don't know how true that is, though.
Then why say it?
Spike is spreading false news.
Am I?
Yeah. Because that's unverified.
Is it?
Yeah.
We have other people in the chat saying wolf pox.
Wolfie pox.
Yeah.
I hope I make a lot of money at San Diego.
I'll be interested to see what the concentration of people is like, because San Diego is absolutely horrible when it comes to the crowds.
That's the thing. I don't think San Diego's that bad compared to like New York Comic Con or Reed Pop shows, which are more disorganized.
New York is also awful in terms of crowds. San Diego is awful in terms of crowds. I deeply dislike both.
San Diego has the same amount of people as New York Comic Con, but because the convention center is bigger and better laid out, and there is more stuff to do outside the convention center, it's like more manageable In my opinion, it's not like Anime Expo a couple of weeks ago, which had unsafe CO2 levels because there were too many people in the building.
Wow.
Like, so.
Yeah, Snake of June, the heat in San Diego is disgusting and unreal. San Diego in general, like the history of the San Diego Comic-Con is wild because it's run by very cool, very good people, and it has turned into something I have to think they never imagined it would be. Because it
I
started
think
out
that
as
is
like
true, but I think it is not that bad. Like,
I hate it. I hate
I
it a lot. I hate it a
I
lot.
think you are over exaggerating. New York
All I
Comic
remember
Con
is
times
last time I
worse.
was there, I was on the con hall floor, literally packed like a sardine, moving in a shuffle, trying to get through the main drag, and just being like, "This is hell. It sucks and it's
Again,
hell."
This is the thing: is everyone complains about San Diego, and then they all go to New York Comic Con, and I'm like, New York Comic Con is 10 million times worse.
Not me. I don't go to New York Comic Con
I
either.
mean, yeah, no, you at least have that where like, but I'm just saying, like, when other people like are like, oh, don't go to San Diego, too crazy, and then they're at New York Comic Con every year, and it's like,
See,
excuse
it's
me,
like that's why I respect Small Press Expo so much because, folks, in case you didn't know, SPX Small Press Expo takes place in Gaithersburg, Maryland. I've been doing it for a very long time, at least until recently, and it definitely has the interest and the demand to be much bigger than it is, and it consciously chooses every year not to get any bigger. It takes up a full ballroom in one convention center, and that is it. It could take up more. It doesn't. And while this does have the knock on effect of making it difficult to get into, it keeps it at a size where I can fucking bear to be there. It's still a plague pit. I still get sick at, at SPX, but it's a
I'm just
con
saying.
that just doesn't feel like this fucking out of control metastasis that just is getting larger and larger and larger every year and more unbearable every year.
I'm just saying that San Diego's sort of settled and has its groove, and
It does.
Comic Con is a cesspit.
Do you remember when San
I was
Diego was having in this weird like do-si-do with the city of San Diego, and the Comic
yeah
Con was like, "Well, I guess I'll move to Vegas or wherever it is they thought they were gonna move."
no LA because
L.A.
that's the logical place because half the people interested in going are from LA anyway.
And like, I guess we'll move to Los Angeles. And San Diego was like, okay, then I guess you will. And San Diego Comic Con was like, all right, it'd be a shame if you lost all that revenue because I know you make the taxis and the hotels and the restaurants a little more expensive for all of Comic Con week. Oh, that'd be a shame. Oh, all your local vendors sure would be sad, but oh well. And there was just a game of chicken, and it went on for like a month and a half or something before the city of San Diego actually gave the San Diego Comic Con what they wanted.
Yeah, which was a bigger convention center.
Yeah. Oh god. I
like
and
they added rooms to the current convention center, so it is even bigger now.
yeah, I haven't been to New York Comic Con, and the only time I went is when Kickstarter invited me to speak on a panel, and it is, it's bad. It's bad,
awful.
y'all. It's real bad. And the thing is, also, it's in New York, so everything is incredibly expensive. Although the food, of course, is impeccable because it's New York. So if you want to eat out when you go, it's amazing there. But it's New York, so everything's expensive. Like if you're not staying at a hostel or some shit, the hotel's going to be expensive, and if you're going to try and get there, a cab is going to be expensive. If you take the subway, that's fine, but the subway in New York is kind of got a learning curve, and it's rough. And then when you finally get to the convention center, again, it's like being in like the finishing yard of a slaughterhouse, and you're just packed cheek to jowl with all these people.
I hate New York Comic Con so much.
I feel like there's this thing that Evan said when he was on the show last time we said something just like going to cons. It's like he feels like he's like the oldest person there now, and that got me thinking. And I was thinking, like, is there a point where I'm just like, I'm done. I'm retired from cons. They are a young person's game.
I mean, they are, but
I mean, I think that also depends on perspective because, unlike y'all, I haven't gotten my fill of conventions, and I,
Yeah.
if I could go to all of them this year, I would.
Hmm.
it's.
And I
I'm
would
gonna
probably for the next
clarify.
5 years, happily, not as an obligation. I would be very
I'm
happy.
I'm gonna clarify. It is a young person's game to go to all the conventions.
Oh yeah.
Because that's exhausting. Like
Yeah. The way I
going to
perceive
a
myself doing
year.
conventions these days is quite frankly the laziest, most non-committal way, where if there was like some sort of thing I would consider, it'd be, so let's just pretend San Diego Comic-Con, Iron Circus has a booth. I'd get 2 hotel rooms, so it'd be me, Matt, maybe a couple of y'all, whoever wanted to show up, and y'all would do most of the booth stuff if you wanted to. And if it wouldn't be all, it'd be like Andrea too, or some Matt. I'm sure would be really happy to do something, but for my part, I would straight up fucking swan in and out at a whim and just be all like, "Hey, how's it going? Things selling?
Yeah, I'm
Everything
the
good?"
weirdo. I'm still. I don't know if this is a phase. If y'all were ever in a phase where you enjoyed setup, I like doing the setup. I like selling. I have not reached a point where, like, the only reason I don't go to conventions is because I can't afford it. So, the only times I could go to conventions is when I was either I had something to sell, which was very infrequent, or I was manning the booth for Iron Circus, and that was like a job that like not really paid my way, but more just let me sell on the side. But I didn't have to worry about my travel expenses or the booth payment. Like I didn't
Yeah,
have to pay for a booth, I didn't have to pay for travel. So
yeah,
whatever I made off my minis was like it didn't have to make much. So that's the only reason I could do them.
yeah. And I
Uh,
just
Abby
really don't want to
Abby
do
is
that
in the
anymore.
chat saying Evan's clearly not going to the right cons. Peter Beagle is at a con. He's like 100 years old.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like I kind of like outlined what my future con experience ideal would be, where I show up for like 15 minutes and look around the booth and then I leave.
Yep.
And I show up again maybe a couple hours later and it's like, how's it going? And I have the phone on me, so if
Yeah,
anyone needs to
so that's
text me,
why
it's
I
like, hey, the
say,
booth's on fire, that's fine. But I don't foresee myself in the future being that person standing behind the booth going, "Hey, how are you? Can I tell you about our books?" Like I'm just not
I
into
yeah,
that.
see. I
I'm
don't think
not
that's an
feeling it.
age thing.
this is
I think it's just a personality and preference thing.
Yeah, maybe.
yeah.
I would be
Um,
waiting tables still if I could physically keep up with it.
Mm,
yeah, so that's why I say like the going to all the conventions is a young person's game. Like cuz um doing like 20 cons a
If I could
year.
afford it,
Like
I would. I don't
mm,
know. It's like I'm imagining it. It's like I don't know.
mm,
so you say that, Amanda, but it's kind of all that travel gets exhausting.
I
It's less like
guess
the con itself, but like
I've never like travel's never really bothered me.
mm.
um I'm
I'm
at the point where if I do 2 in a row, doing a third one seems like I don't want to do this.
yeah.
Like
I don't know. I'm very very good at like meditation, I guess.
I'm at that point now where I'm beginning to suspect, outside of maybe 2 or 3 a year, that Amanda would be happy to go to, and perhaps Andrea might be happy to go to, and man the booth and sell stuff and just, shake hands and kiss babies and do all that business. Outside that, I'm pretty much done unless someone is inviting me. And when I say inviting me, I mean actually inviting me. Paying the airfare and paying for a hotel and giving me a
not
free
being
table.
like we invite you to buy this table from us.
Exactly. Like there, every once in a while you'll get stuff like that. Like, we'd love to invite you to participate in Con. It's like, what's that? Oh, we're a brand new show and we would love to invite you to participate. And dot dot dot. Please outline in detail what invite to participate means. We have tables available at great deals. Oh, okay, so you're not inviting me at all. Got it. Thank you. Bye. Like, you titled it that, so I'd open the email. Fuck you. I'm so jaded. I'm so jaded. I can't help it. I've been doing this too long.
Anyway, I still kind of want to go to Worldcon. I just think like now's not a good time.
Yeah, and the crazy part is like I don't know when it'll be a good time again. I really don't.
Well, in 2024, it's going to be in Scotland. So I was talking to Kate about maybe I'll make it as part of a larger trip to see the UK.
I straight up do want room service, Hannah. Absolutely.
Do you remember that time we were at a I think it was ConnectiCon, and everything we were getting was comped, and you were excitedly ordering I think lobster risotto or something, and you looked over at me, and I think it was Casey and a few other people, and I just said out loud, "I really want Domino's pizza," and the look you fucking gave me was. I just said, I really want Domino's pizza. And you're like, Amanda, it's all getting comped. We can have lobster risotto. What do you mean you're getting Domino's pizza?
I think I remember explaining to Spike how much alcohol costs, because it was at some sort of like convention that you were a guest at. You were told like, you can order room service, but there is a limit. You can only spend up to $500 on room service.
And I was all like, "How
does someone
eat $500 in room service in a weekend
food?" And I was just like, alcohol is expensive, Spike. Like, there are whiskeys that cost $50 a glass. Like,
yeah, we should note here that I do not drink, so this is a thing. This is very alien to my experience. So it would never occur to me that someone's ordering 12-year-old whiskey as room service. You know?
Wait, I realize what happened. Give me a second.
Amanda broke it.
No, I was trying to put a noise gate on my filter, and I accidentally clicked gain instead. And so I lowered my gain instead of raising the noise gate.
What's a gain?
Yeah.
Gain is basically volume. You're increasing the volume. A noise gate is basically it's the threshold of noise that is not detected by the mic. Like, so if you're not talking but you have a fan going, your mic will just pick up the fan if you don't have any kind of gate. But if you say anything under like negative 20 dB doesn't get picked up, which would be the fan, that means my audio will just cut out and will only pick up if the volume raises above a certain threshold. That way it's silent if I'm not talking, so you don't have to hear the fan noise. That was my intention. Instead, I just decided I pressed the wrong button and just dropped all my audio down by 8 decibels.
Ah, well, there you go. Today I learned. Yeah. But yeah, that convention, Kel, I think it might have been... See, and now, oh God, I am getting fucking morose. I believe that convention was Ape. Not the last Ape, but kind of the last hurrah of Ape. For folks who don't know, and at this point I'm sure there are plenty, Ape is Alternative Press Expo, and
I mean, does it exist anymore?
I didn't listen, chat. I didn't say I wasn't smart. I just have certain areas of knowledge, and I just have certain areas where I'm a dumbass, and I don't think there's any crime or shame in being a dumbass and knowing it.
I think, Kel, I think Ape does exist on a certain level, but not as a comic convention. I honestly don't know post-pandemic if it's still around at all. But Ape, back in the day when I went, it was administered by Comic-Con International, who are the same people who do San Diego Comic-Con. And Ape was kind of like their Team Comics thing, because I strongly believe it didn't make them any money. And they administered it out of love for comics.
Is a non-profit, so none of their shows make them any money.
Yeah, but I'm sure that the people who actually administer the shows get some kind of payment. But the Ape show was very when it says Alternative Press Expo, they mean alternative. So it was like a West Coast SPX in a lot of ways, but it had a ton of money, and they invited me, and it was actually on my bucket list to be a guest at Ape. So this was a big thrill for me. And they comped me a guest, which was Matt, and a room, and they gave me a daily stipend and room service up to $500. And to this day, I think that's the most lush accommodations I've ever been put up in, because they put us up in this really cool old fashioned hotel. And the Ape Show itself was on the San Francisco docks. So there was this awesome breeze blowing through the building the whole time. And if you went out onto the pier to get some fresh air, you could both see Alcatraz, see the Golden Gate Bridge, and if you looked down and were patient enough, you might see a harbor seal. So Ape was really fun and cool, and I had a great time.
Abby says, while all you were watching Disney movies, Amanda was studying the blade. I mean, to get kind of real, one of the reasons I was hesitant to even bring back a show back is one of my anxieties is the fact that I'm not very educated formally, and I don't really have the same experiences, and I don't tend to like to talk on subjects with any level of authority if I don't actually feel like I know about them. And I really didn't like old episodes of Dirty Old Ladies because I felt like I had very assertive opinions.
Oh,
That I just didn't like it. I felt like I was very assertive on things I don't think I should have been assertive on. And I'm not trying to say I'm dumb. I'm saying the problem is my areas of like expertise don't come up on the show a lot, and that's not like
what are your areas of
fault of the
expertise?
show.
Let's talk about them.
Oh,
Yes.
no.
Does anyone here want Amanda to talk
High
about her
Dolls.
areas of
Let's
expertise?
talk
Because I
about
sure do.
Let's talk about Monster High Dolls.
I haven't been in the Monster High scene in a very long time because the brand slept on it and then expected they were just going to bring it back and everyone's going to care.
Do you watch Darling Dolls?
No, I don't like those shows.
No, Darling Dolls is a YouTube channel.
I know. I don't typically like repaint channels because most of them make me mad.
Darling Dolls isn't a repaint channel.
Oh, it's not? What is it then?
Darling Dolls is awesome. The person who hosts it just talks about doll history and reviews like the Monster High movies, and refers to Barbie as Miss Barbara. It's
I only like the dolls. I don't care about the media.
But it's great.
But I don't care.
Everyone just go to YouTube and look up Darling Dolls. Dolls has a Z at the end. And it's just fucking, it's awesome. It's like, I don't particularly care about fashion dolls, but man, that is a like Mariana Trench deep kind of scene. And there's just a lot to, if you're the kind of person that just likes learning about crap you don't know anything about, Darling Dolls is really great for that. God, you know that thing we're not talking about?
No, because I'm not.
Here's the thing: ripped apart on Twitter.
Spike, I don't care. I will care tomorrow when all the dust has settled. I don't care now.
Oh my god. I'm not gonna say anything because I don't know. Speaking about you talking about, I don't want to hold court on things that I'm not an authority on because that feels crappy and phony.
It makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, I understand that. And quite frankly, the world would be better off if people were less inclined to sit there and hold fucking court on shit they don't know shit about. But, okay, I'm going to close the window.
Oh, it's fine.
Stop looking at it.
I can't help it because the dunks are so elegant.
But yeah, like the shit I know is like audio engineering bullshit, camera bullshit now. I've been learning filmography bullshit. Sewing, painting. I used to make resin figures, so I know a lot about resin and silicone mold making. There's other shit rattling back there that I'm like, other shit.
Yeah.
How to do a stream. I'm the only person who knows how to make press the right buttons.
You made me this lovely PNG tuber.
I'm also streaming.
I mean the shit that we're doing here and all the other stuff I do.
Yeah.
You made me this lovely PNG tuber.
Explaining how TikTok works.
Yeah. We have all those videos for TikTok. We should put them on YouTube too for the YouTube Shorts thing.
Sure, when we have enough.
Yeah. We got a bunch now, don't we?
YouTube Shorts, here's the thing, YouTube Shorts is also in a very weird period where, because YouTube Shorts is so new, there really isn't a lot of good content there, and almost everything that is going viral is really, really weird shit.
What I've been getting a lot of, tell me if you're getting this too. There's this one English guy who has really this huge collection of really terrible Halloween costumes, and he gets dressed up in them and pretends to be like cupcakes and sperm and elephants and Noah
Oh yeah,
and
I've been getting that.
Jesus.
But he's also on TikTok.
Yeah, they feel like TikTok re-uploads. And I'm also getting this old lady who, and I don't know if this is me being ageist or not, but I get this old lady who I think she is probably being filmed and popularized by a much younger relative who does cooking videos, and I think her name is Lydia. And she does things like, iced coffee and Mexican street corn and stuff like that. But it's very pow 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 as far as the editing goes, and she yells things like yeet while throwing things across the kitchen and off the deck. And keep in mind, this woman's like maybe 75, so I'm very skeptical that this is her own doing. Like, I'm sure a 75-year-old is capable of doing these sort of things. It feels like the sensibilities are those of a much younger person. So maybe I'm an asshole.
No, mostly I've been getting this dork who keeps trying to tell me trivia about Pixar movies, and I don't care.
Yeah, and
If
I
that
also
dork pops up in my feed one more time, I'm gonna do something.
and I got this one ad where, and it's like, that's what it was. It was a fucking ad. That's the only way to talk about it. Where it's like, I get paid $15 an hour to watch Netflix movies, and I'm like, no, you absolutely do fucking not. Like, I'm not even gonna click this. I don't know. I'm not even gonna go to your channel to downvote you and block you. I hate you that much.
But yeah, honestly, I'm gonna be honest. I don't think YouTube Shorts is worth doing. I think compilations of TikToks. I think what we should do is stick to doing. I have to actually make them. I fell off the wagon because I got busy. But once we've accumulated a certain number of the TikTok tutorials, accumulating them into a single video is a much better thing. Because I don't get this. The shorts thing is not worth doing.
Really?
Because with TikTok, that format is the only format. So of course you're going to conform to it. Shorts is just YouTube trying to do TikTok. Nobody cares. I don't care.
That's fair, but I'm seeing this stuff get millions of views, so I think it's
millions
worth
of views
anyway.
Doesn't really translate into a lot when it comes to shorts, because those do not always transfer to goes and watches the main channel.
No, I just think it'd be a good place to put it as many places as possible.
I mean, we can, but it's just
views might just be like it auto-played.
Yeah, a lot of those autoplay.
Be taking a shit to like say I don't want to watch this. Like,
that's fair, but I still think it should be as many places as possible.
I guess it just, I don't know. I think it'd be much better to have a compilation.
I think we can upload them as shorts and then put them all together in a compilation. I'd also like to have speed paints on this channel too.
Why?
Because they're fun.
But they're really off topic.
But if we could get someone to do a speed paint of a comic page they do, that wouldn't be off topic.
I guess it's just not that interesting.
I like them.
No, they're interesting when you are watching the artist on their own platform. I just don't think it's that engaging to. I think what's more like what we're doing with Pride 2. We're doing the Pride 2 thing where we're getting a bunch of our creators of queer titles to do game night, and that's actually interesting. Seeing all these creators come together to do game night and draw and have fun. It's not something you get to see often, and it's that I think that's interesting. I think getting people to do stuff that they would do on their own channel anyway is kind of, it's uninspiring, I guess. It's just,
but how many of our creators have their own channels?
Most of, not channels, but
no, definitely not most of them.
No, I mean they have their own other platforms. You can watch them go on Picardo, or a lot of them have their own TikToks. I'm just saying, I don't think, and most of them don't even paint or do the kind of thing where elapses would be recordable. I think maybe having them do a live draw and maybe talk and do an interview while they do a live draw would be interesting. It's just the speed paint in and of itself is only interesting if you like the artist already and you kind of follow them for that thing. I don't think it's going to drive anyone to the channel.
Badger's in the chat saying, "You're old, Spike. You gotta learn what's hip with the youths."
Well, no, I kind of think if you're trying to build a YouTube channel, I think having content that matters, and doing something just because people like it doesn't make much sense to me. Like, I think it should be
But,
something they can only come to us for, if that makes sense.
I mean, I get what you're saying. It's just that the creators I'm talking about aren't doing this on other platforms, so
I guess. But, like, just don't see the point of a speed paint.
I just think it'd be cool if someone could record themselves if they use Clip Studio Paint making a comic page and then doing a little voiceover about, yeah, so this is page 15 of so and so, and this is how I do it. I make my own brushes and then I always lay it out first and I use the 3D models and then here it is. Because tutorial content is always popular.
I guess.
hey, Spike, we should do a stream that's you and I playing RimWorld.
Maybe. But yeah, it's like I'm become interested in seeing what we can make this little channel do. I understand comics as a medium aren't like a very big topic on YouTube, but that's fine because this isn't like our main focus. This little tiny channel already has 453 subscribers. Hey everyone, please subscribe. Thank you. And I think it'd be cool if we could get that up to
Also,
1,000 and
please
we could like
subscribe
record
to my
geek.
Twitch.
Say what?
Also, please subscribe to my Twitch where I'm drawing right now. It's twitch.tv/CalMcDonald.
Yeah, I think there are more people who like Iron Circus artists but don't know there's an ICC YouTube. Yeah, absolutely. And I just think it'd be fun if we could just get more stuff on here and we could just throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any sense in just like refusing to put stuff on here.
I didn't say refusing. I just
said we already have, you know?
Yeah.
Just see what happens. We haven't got a lot to lose. This isn't like our bread and butter or anything.
Right, but all this stuff takes like time and organization.
So Spike, we make ourselves in RimWorld.
Huh. Honestly, a Drawfee style artist take a prompt and joke while doodling would be fun, says Adam Russo. That might be fun, just a doodle night.
Yeah, that would be much more interesting, yeah.
Yeah. I know there's a site that sort of facilitates that, but I don't remember what it was. Yeah.
There are programs too.
Yeah, we could have a doodle night. Something more interestingly named than doodle night.
I think why I don't like the idea of like grabbing like speed paints from people is it also limits who can participate to the kind of people who do that stuff already. Because not everybody draws in a way that can be captured via speed paint. Via, like, for example, if I were to do a comic page, it would be extremely difficult for me if you were to ask me, hey Amanda, get us some, what's it called, time lapses of you working on a Starry Night page. I would be drawing this over like multiple sessions, and it takes about like 5 hours to draw a page, and it would be going so fast, like to do relevant voiceover explaining what I'm doing, it'd be actually really, really hard. You have to script it ahead of time, unless you're just talking about whatever over it. It's not going to be like friendly to a lot of artists.
I guess I can see where that's coming from. I'm just mostly just trying to imagine stuff that would be relevant that would be put on here.
Now, I think maybe someone talking about their process and us getting relevant images to go along with it would be good. I just don't think necessarily called the time lapse capture. It's not very forgiving and not very compatible with the way everyone works. I've also seen a lot of artists just complain about like not feeling like they have to do that kind of stuff to be relevant, and I would love to give people other options.
I did see a tweet recently that was talking about how they were super not fans of specifically the art scene on TikTok, because the art scene on TikTok is, what's a good way to put it? I want to say not theatrical. It's very much about aesthetique as much as it is about the actual art you produce, because like in comparison, if you go to like DeviantArt or whatever, you upload a picture and it asks you for a description and a title and you're like, here's a picture of my dog. My dog's name is Bill, and I drew this picture October 13th, 2021. And like that's what DeviantArt asks of you. It's like, okay. But if you were to try and put it on TikTok in a way where you want it to, as the children are fond of saying, do numbers, you would have to be pretty, and you would have to have a shot of Bill, like actual Bill, and then you'd have to have a shot of the room you drew the picture in, and the room would have to be aesthetique, and you would have to sit down and draw Bill aesthetically in an aesthetic, and not like the picture just has to be aesthetic, but the way you're drawing the picture also has to be aesthetic. And then you would have to make sure you have the camera angles and the lighting correct while you're drawing the piece. And then you'd have to have some kind of like, diagonal wipe into the finished piece and have a voiceover over it. Whereas most people just want to draw the picture and show you the picture, DeviantArt style. But if you do that, you get 400 views. But if you do it the other way, you get 2 million. And that's a tangible difference. So I kind of see where you're coming from there. But at the same time, I think it's a little early to say some folks won't like doing it, so we shouldn't do it at all.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
think it would
fair.
be necessary to do it for everyone, but if folks are up for it, I think it'd be worth trying.
I guess it just to me it's like it's a lot of getting people to participate in something that using their valuable time. I don't know. I'll stop talking actually.
No, I mean, it's a definite thing. Like one of the favorite, I shouldn't say favorite. Oh, I love all my children equally. I like Evan's work a lot, but Evan does not work digitally. So, this is something Evan would not be able to do. But if Evan wanted to talk over his process, and Evan's a very process focused guy, I imagine that'd be a pretty cool thing to film and show.
Yeah.
So, we can make this flexible, and we could just limit it to people who want to participate. And, not everybody would have to. And we could make a playlist and call it, process stuff, or something snazzier than process stuff, but implies process stuff. And anyone who is interested can click through, and, people who aren't interested can click on Geek Show and listen to us talk about farts and talk around industry drama.
That's
I am
fair.
willing to do
talking
interesting
around industry drama, Spike.
Say what?
You're the only one talking around industry drama, Spike. Amanda and I you're the one who keeps bringing up this elephant. Amanda and I are doing a great job of ignoring its existence.
No.
I spend my entire life ignoring drama.
I just have
I float through life blissfully unaware.
I have a window open, and the way Twitter works now is it automatically updates.
Not if you're not looking at it, it doesn't.
When someone quote tweets. So every once in a while, Twitter's like tapping me on the shoulder and being like fresh dunks. Fresh dunks.
No, you can just not look.
Oh my god. It's
I sit here and I monitor the chat and I don't do anything else, and Spike goes on Twitter.
It's just people are fucking it's so good.
Spike.
No, I have feeling,
I'm coloring horses right now, and I maintain.
Oh my god, it's so coincidental you should say that. God. Because I am at a page. All right, the thing is, while I've been on my sabbatical.
You, Kel.
No, I have been on my sabbatical for a bit.
Yeah, fuck me and my horse pain. No one cares.
No, I'm sorry. It's just I'm at this point now where since I'm doing the sci-fi thing, I have to draw the horse analog, and I've just been avoiding it. So we have had this discussion previously.
That's what H Bomber Guy taught me. Horses aren't real.
I thought birds weren't real.
They're a government conspiracy. And
oh, Adam Russo, I could fucking never. Oh my god.
Nah, I would really like to just do webcomic history. History would be good. I would love, again, this is one of those dreams if I ever had time. I really would love to do history of webcomics and also like teach people how to do HTML. I would love to do that, but I don't have time.
I used to make my website in Notepad.
Yeah, my website, all my websites right now are HTML custom coded by hand, and it's all just basic ass HTML and CSS, except for the one script I took from a guy who said I could.
It's wild to contemplate these days that there are like 22-year-olds who have no idea how to make their own website.
But they have no reason to know.
Yeah, it's just so strange to like, because again, I'm like, without exaggeration, I and Amanda and Kel, kind of like that 10-year span, we come from this generation where you were told, "Oh, you have to have a personal site. Like, if you want to be taken seriously professionally, you need a site."
But, like, people
No,
still make their own personal sites, it's just now it's all stuff like
Squarespace.
Squarespace, which is, like,
And
drop
card.
wires
Yeah.
in the
Pe-
different
People
sections,
still
yeah.
think they
Yeah.
need their own personal website. It's more just how you do it is what's changed. And again,
Yeah.
when we were doing it, it wasn't like we had the option of you can use this platform or you can do
Yeah.
HTML. It was the only option was HTML, and then there were a few like Homestead, I think, did the drag and drop things. There
Yeah.
were a few things that did that.
Yeah.
And now it's more
The
just people aren't exposed to the, you do everything by
Yeah.
custom HTML, so why on earth would they even think to?
Yeah.
I've been talking to Kevin, and like the big update for WordPress right now is that they're switching over to doing that sort of drag and drop thing.
Mm.
Um
I remember when websites
that's
had like load times because they all had Flash intros, and you would click to the site and it would just have a bar because people had to like negotiate with themselves. Like, I want to impress everyone with my lovely website, but at the same time, I don't want them to sit through a 15-second load screen. So there was this balancing act all the really good websites did.
I still think we should dedicate ourselves to breaking cell phones by incorporating multiple iframes and frames into our websites again.
Yeah. God.
They all scroll. The sidebar scrolls, the header bar scrolls, the body scrolls. Frames scrolling in every direction. Break the cell phones.
I'm gonna go see if Electric Sheep is still online.
But yeah, no, I think honestly, I think a lot of people would make we've talked about it before. I feel like we're getting really circular with these episodes, but like, I feel like way more people, young people included, would make websites from scratch if they just knew they could. It's just not an option that's been presented to them. I mean, think about all the people who like. There was a time when people realized like Tumblr could accept custom CSS, and a lot of people suddenly learned CSS to make their Tumblrs special.
Yeah, I remember Matt used to handle all the CSS for ironcircus.com before it had to. God, the eSheep is gone. I feel so fucking bad.
Yeah, I mean, for example, if tomorrow Twitter enabled you to do CSS to customize your profile page, I can promise you suddenly there would be 50 TikToks published every 2 hours explaining all the HTML tricks and CSS you could learn. And suddenly everybody would be CSS and HTML experts all over again like they used to.
I'm sorry, everyone. I was wrong. Electric Sheep Comics, spelled Comix. Electric Sheep Comics. Wow. Oh my fucking god.
But yeah, I think that's why it'd be great. I wish I had the fucking time to make like a YouTube video just about this is how you do it. Go forth, children, do the thing.
All the comics on it are unreadable because they're made in Flash. Oh god. Everything is terrible. Life is horrible.
Why?
Remember when we thought shit on the internet would last forever?
No, I never thought that.
We were
The internet has always
fools.
been rapidly evolving. Like something I keep saying all the time is Twitter's gonna die eventually. We move
God,
from
I hope so.
It's inevitable. We move from platform to platform to platform to platform. It's just that's the internet. Like
Oh,
Hey,
God.
we
you know
talk
what
about
is
the
great
internet and
news?
social media like what is now is forever, forgetting that like we jumped across platforms rapidly and we will do it again. We will continue to do it. Twitter will die someday.
And now
You know
I'm
what's great news?
Hmm?
No.
Twitter is suing Elon Musk.
Oh,
Yeah,
I heard about that.
Yeah, I heard about that.
That's delightful.
That's great.
It's one of those subjects I
Yeah.
just have zero investment in. Every time I hear about it, I'm like, okay.
There's a drag queen I follow named Willem, and he's so fucking mean. But he has this whole bit where if he's like commenting on a YouTube video, and it's just, people being shitty to each other. He'll just hop up and down and clap his hands and go, "Yay, the girls are fighting!" And like that was my first thought when when I heard about Elon Musk and Twitter going at each other. Yay, the girls are fighting! I'm just so happy. Fight, fight, fight. Oh god, I fucking hate everything about the entire situation, but I can get a little joy out of watching these two idiots smack their head against a brick wall braying like asses, you know?
Mhm.
It's just I'm so fucking oh my god. I'm not even gonna get into it. I'm so disgusted by the kinds of hero worship that people seem incredibly happy to participate in.
SCK
And
says, "What if you opened someone's Twitter page and a MIDI of a Linkin Park song started playing? Wouldn't that be great?" It would. Let the
yeah.
people have what they want. Make it
Yeah,
MySpace.
Badger, that is exactly what people are saying. Basically, he signed a contract that said he will WILL all caps pay 44 billion for Twitter, but he doesn't want it and Twitter doesn't want him to have it. So what is entirely likely is there will just be some absolutely carotid artery piercing, fire hose bleeding kind of payoff just to get Twitter to go away. So that's the most likely turnout. And I love it because I know it'll happen. I just want to see how this will be spun into a win by all the Muscovites. Like,
Oh, they
well,
already
daddy
are.
really
Like, I've
showed
seen
them.
I've seen some of the memes already, like,
Mhm.
that are trying to spin it as him winning, like, 'cause they're claiming that this was all part of the plan to trick Twitter into revealing how many bots are on their site.
Yeah.
Um,
No,
or
they're
this was all a plan to reveal how Twitter is censoring conservatives, like,
uh-huh.
stuff like that.
Yeah, there was a tweet I saw recently that was like, I really think no one is talking about this and we should. That, he was probably really, really drunk or high when he tweeted, "I'm going to buy Twitter," and then got egged on by a bunch of idiots. And so he can't walk it back because it's one of those things where it is the billionaire version of waking up the next day with a pounding headache and your best friend in the fraternity standing over you going, "Oh, you are not going to believe what you did last night." And it's like, that's entirely possible. That could be what happened.
On another note, my 12-year-old dreams are technically coming true.
Which is what?
Since I'm on my third manga rewrite, that means
Oh,
my name is going to be in published manga as a rewriter. So technically, my name is attached to manga. So technically, my 12-year-old dreams of being a mangaka are kind of real.
congratulations.
So hey,
And this is for 7 Cs, right?
yeah. Don't let your
Congratulations.
baby dreams die. They might come true just in really
Mm.
backwards, weird ways.
All my dreams are dead now, so
You have dreams.
no, my dreams are all dead. None of them are gonna come true. I have understood that.
What are they?
I have lived in this weird sort of place where I absolutely acknowledge, like, this isn't a put on and this isn't a
Three.
affectation. My tastes in general are not mainstream and never have been. And that's not me trying to position myself as sort of morally or aesthetically superior to anyone. It's just that's not what I like. There are things that are made with a mainstream sensibility, and they just don't appeal to me, and I'm not interested. And nothing on earth can make me interested the same way nothing on earth could make me interested about shit, I don't know, the taxonomy of earwigs. Like, that's just not a thing I care about. I bear it no ill will. I just don't care about it, and nothing's going to make me care about it. But at the same time, there are things that I will likely never accomplish unless I embrace those sensibilities. I want
Ah.
to accomplish them without embracing those sensibilities, so I find myself trapped in
Oh,
this
you mean
morass of
impossible
permanent
dreams?
yeah, the trapped in this morass of entirely unlike just like permanent dissatisfaction with what I've accomplished, but with the abject knowledge that I will never accomplish what I truly want to because there are no avenues to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, you're talking about like impossible dreams, like end world hunger dreams.
I have dreams, but feel like I'm not allowed to have them. I'm sorry to hear that, Paul G. I'm kind of brute forcing a lot of my dreams in a lot of ways. And like a lot of people can sort of attest, something similar to what I fantasized about has come true. But there are times when I've had to build an entire infrastructure and turn it to administration just to see what I want to
Yeah.
see in the world. I wish I didn't have to do this. I wish I had more mainstream tastes, and I wish I was, more demographically acceptable in those tastes. And I could just go and cling to the pre-existing trellis and grow up it like a vine and not have to worry about what country my books are being printed in and what the ETA on the warehouse for those titles are, and hiring an accountant and hiring a promo guy and hiring this and hiring
Dang, I
that
was just trying to find a silver lining in a very sad period of my life, but oh damn, I didn't know I was gonna make this happen.
Well, it's just one of those
Woof.
things where there are days where I absolutely resent it. There are days I absolutely resent that I had to make Iron
Yeah.
Circus to make what I wanted happen, because there was literally no other way it was going to happen. And there are times where I am sad, and this sounds ridiculous, but I'm sad because it's like, oh God, how do I say this without sounding super fucking mean? Um, if I was more basic, this would have been easier. Like, and I don't mean that in a horrible way, because I don't want people out there who like that shit to be like, hey, because it's like, I'm not gonna yuck your yum. If you like cheese pizza, like, cool. But I just don't, and I can't pretend to. And I fucked up a lot by pretending I like cheese pizza, thinking it would get me somewhere at times. And I can never keep it up. And there isn't a fucking shred of me that's interested in that shit. And I know my life would be easier if I would have been happy eating cheese pizza, or just, being a cog as opposed to like the engine, and it would have just been easier, and I would have a lot less stress and a lot fewer responsibilities, and I wouldn't be feeling totally burnt out all the fucking time. But there is literally no other way for me to do this.
Yeah.
I'll
Now
never
you know.
defeat Kakarot.
Nah, you'll never be happy collecting a paycheck at Marvel Realty. No, no. But they would. That's the thing. It's like they would never would have published me anyway, considering what I wanted to make. Like that would have never happened ever. And also, there was a time where I was seriously considering going into animation, and just looking back at, like, I am in my 40s now, and so it wouldn't be like the kids getting into animation now who are like 22, and the landscape is totally different. I would be like, have spent my youth animating God knows fucking what, nothing I would have cared about. If I was lucky, The Simpsons. It's
I
not
mean,
likely,
it's not
but
like the youth entering animation now are all proud of what they're animating.
no, it's I know that they're not all stuck on, God, what's a crap show? Like the Three Robotic Stooges or whatever, but I know for a fact I would have washed out of that. I would have washed out of that really fast. And if I had tried to force myself to do like the Marvel shit and the DC shit, and even to a lesser degree the Fantagraphic shit, I would have washed out of that too. And so it was literally impossible for me to do anything but what I'm doing now and still be able to say I'm in comics, but at the same time, I still resent it.
Yeah.
And I know how that sounds, but it's the truth.
Yep.
Sorry, everybody.
No, it's fine. I just use jokes to try and make myself feel better about my situation.
And then I immediately snatch the jokes
Yeah.
at the throat and drag it down into the morass with me.
You make me do the
But
thing I was avoiding doing, which was feeling
yeah,
sad.
if somebody else was willing to just publish whatever comics you wanted to make, I think you'd be less happy with that than doing it on your own. Honestly, probably. I do have that control freak aspect, but there are times I wish it was easier.
I mean, there's a reason why I say if this shoe don't turn around, I'm probably bouncing.
Yeah, I get what you mean. But hey, you're rewriting manga and you've got a ton of work these days, don't you?
I mean, kind of. Like none of this is like none of the work I do is like steady. Oh, I can plan the next 4 months of my life, work and income. Oh, Kel's gonna pop back in. Whenever we disconnect, our little avatars go away because of the way this avatar thingy work. We only pop up if we're actually online and in the voice chat. So if any of us disappear, it means we disconnected.
Oh, I still see him.
Yeah, Kel's fixing their audio. They said so in the general chat. The one that only we can see.
Oh, I still see their little
they're trying to fix
spinner.
Stuff.
Oh, whoop, there it goes. Bye.
Yeah, they're trying to fix stuff.
Okay, all right.
Okay. And don't watch the YouTube channel. It's on a lag spike.
I like looking.
I know, but like when you're like, oh, there it goes. Oh, it's back. It's not up to date.
Yeah, but I also am reading the chat, so
that's fair. I'm just saying. Yeah.
I think everyone has times like that, even when they're happy and successful. Yeah, at the same time, Abby, that's totally true. I feel like there's a lot of things I would feel it's gauche to publicly complain about because there are going to be people like, boo fucking who, and I get that. But yeah, nothing's perfect and nothing's exactly as we want them. Even our quote dream jobs aren't really the dreams that we hoped they were. And that's okay. That's okay. I mean,
yeah, no, like I am getting a fair bit of work and things are picking up. It's just not sustainable yet. If that makes sense. So like I can't tell you if I'm doing good. I can just say yes, I have work to do.
Yeah. And Iron Circus has a lot of big crowd funds coming up, and we've got some books in the pipeline that are probably going to be our 2023 award show darlings, and that's always good. And things are moving along, moving apace, doing what they're supposed to do. And, we're getting media attention, and that's nice. And we're getting interesting phone calls, and that's nice. And I get great emails on the regular, and those are nice. And that's good. These are all good. These are all good things, and I'm happy they're happening. And I honestly don't even know if what I pine for is a realistic thing, if it's a thing that even exists. But in my head, what exists is kind of, I refer to it mentally as the Sophie Campbell situation, where she just sits in her room and she draws comics, and then
I
she
can
puts
hear you
them,
now.
Okay, cool.
Okay. And she puts them on the computer machine and they go away, and that is what Sophie does all day, day in, day out. And Sophie doesn't have to fucking worry about any of the bullshit I worry about all the time. And it's like, that's the life on a certain level that I wish I'd had. But at the same time, when Matt is sitting here going, I don't think that would have made you happy. You're too much of a control freak. I think he is also right there. I think I would have found a way to be unhappy about that too.
My life is so hard. Everyone wants to date me.
I have too many boyfriends. That's the problem.
I don't know what purse to buy.
It's like that picture of Sabrina the Teenage Witch with like people serving her like 40 plates of pancakes and she can't eat them fast enough. Yeah, that's me. With my 40 plates of pancakes. Abby just said, I love my dream dog, but also I love my dream job, but also like I'm so tired. Yeah.
The thing I just said is it was a friend like summing up some reality TV show and the ladies on it. My life is so hard. Everyone wants to date me and I don't know what purse to buy.
Yeah. God, those shows are so fucked up. One of these days I'm gonna bring myself to watch Real Housewives of Potomac and see how much I recognize. To see how much I recognize.
Okay.
Let's see, like, are they gonna go to the fucking Potomac Club? Are they gonna go to that goddamn golf course? Are they gonna go to
few hours on this earth?
I'm just curious. You have no idea how much trash I watch.
I do know how much trash you watch.
I watch so much garbage.
I'm keenly aware of the garbage you watch. I don't like it blows my mind.
Like there's these series of channels. I'm sure you probably watch some of them too, where straight up someone will just be all like, let's talk about this tween comedy on the Disney Channel you never watched for 8 hours.
Nope.
And I'm all like, okay. Like fucking tell me about iCarly. Okay.
I've been watching this YouTuber called The Salt Factory, and what he does is he plays games that he really liked when they came out, and it's basically like, are they still good? So I've just been having that running on the background. They're like
Well,
6-hour
here's the thing,
videos.
Spike. You describe that as trash. That's not trash.
It's just,
And
you
I
know
would
what?
not put that on the same tier as Real Housewives of whatever. That's
No, it's something there's a certain kind of thing I watch a lot, and when I say watch, I mean have running. That would be a better way to describe it. It's making comics is visual. You need to be like looking at the page while you're working on it.
yes.
So
Same thing. I do
anything
the
where
same
you
kind of thing.
yeah, so it's like anything where you need to pay attention to the screen is right out. So I audiobook a lot. I've been audiobooking The Great Gatsby, and that's fine. And I'm audiobooking not audio, I can't say audiobooking, excuse me. I'm listening to a new guy. Actually, I'm going to recommend a YouTube channel to you nice people right now, actually, because, it's important to highlight things you enjoy and make sure other people know about them. There is a YouTuber who does things he calls guided tours of video games. Like he will talk about uh Cruelty Squad. Okay, his name is Jimmy McGee. So JIMMYMCGEE. Jimmy McGee. And he has a really good, fairly recent video up that's called Cruelty Squad, a guided tour. And it's about the game Cruelty Squad, which is singular in its vision, and he analyzes Cruelty Squad, and it's a really interesting video, and it's like 47 minutes, and I let it just sort of play in the background while I was working today, and I really like it. So go follow Jimmy
I
McGee
watch a
and
lot of
his
I watch a lot of stuff like that too, and I wouldn't. And one of the reasons I wouldn't put it on the same, like, I wouldn't call it like watching garbage or trash, or it's not important or whatever. I one of the or like or even junk food. I think stuff
Mhm.
like that's really important, and I really like watching that stuff. And I think it actually does have value in the fact that I think it's really important for humans to what's the word, learn about other people's interests and learn about other people's point of view, even if they're like not important in like a you're learning history, you're learning facts. I just
intellectual curiosity.
yeah, I think it's just really important in as like not just as like a writer or a storyteller, but also just as a
Mhm.
human to be exposed to other humans.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's why I don't view those stuff like that like as maybe meaningless or time wasters, because I think it's extremely valuable.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. I wouldn't call things like Quentin reviews or Jimmy McGee. Trash isn't quite what I would consider them. When I say trash, what I'm thinking more along the lines of is actually, you know what? Let me go to my watch list and we'll see. We'll see what I've been watching today.
Like there's a lot of people who talk about subjects I'm not super interested in, and yet I still like to know how they felt about that subject and the impact it had on their life, and maybe like how they interpreted events. And I don't know, it's interesting to hear the impact things had on people.
Yeah.
I
I am talking about I'm looking at my played list right now, and I follow a channel called Crit Crab. And all Crit Crab does is read off Reddit posts from the my most terrible tabletop RPG experience ever forum. And so I would definitely call that junk food.
Yeah,
Maybe
that
not trash.
definitely, I would agree that's junk food.
That is
I
junk food.
um I watched a YouTuber. I really like this one YouTuber called Crash Pictures, where he does like stuff. And one of his newer videos is about the career of the man who played the Predator. Um, and just really dug deep into this guy who has been in a shit ton of movies, but most people don't know his name or what he looks like because he's always in a big suit.
Huh.
Is this the really skinny guy?
Yes, he was also Harry and Harry and the Hendersons.
Oh, I didn't
Oh,
know about that. I know he was the fish guy in Shape of
Doug
Water, and I
Jones
know he
No,
was
no,
remember?
no.
aged.
That's a different guy.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Huh.
Because the guy who was the Predator died a couple of years after playing the Predator.
Oh. Oh, okay.
But yeah, he was
Chat says Kevin Peter Hall.
Yes, Kevin Peter Hall. Yes.
Oh, okay then.
So yeah, so he he was basically like he was Harry and the Hendersons. He was the Predator. And he before that he was a bunch of other different movie monsters. He only has like a couple of times where his face got to be on screen. But the guy that you were thinking of, Spike, is Doug Jones.
Yeah, I am thinking of Doug Jones, who I only recently began learning of because he is really, really slender. And because of his extreme slenderness, he can fit into body hugging, like full body costumes for film and not look like he's wearing a
He's
costume.
also a contortionist.
Yeah.
And he I've seen him in I saw him in a lot of stuff like before his big break. Which is not Shape of Water. It was playing Abe Sapien in the Hellboy movie.
Yeah.
And then he just is now in all the Guillermo del Toro movies.
Oh yeah.
But uh, he was several monsters on Buffy,
Hmm.
which is when I first became aware of him because I know far too much about the show Buffy.
Well, there you go.
But yeah, so it was a really interesting video just digging into Kevin Peter Hall's uh Abby. He was not the alien. He is too tall to be the alien. Yeah. Um and So yeah, and it was interesting also because it went into Harry and the Hendersons, and he apparently um talking to the guys that designed the suit, like they realized like, okay, we got to make sure that we can see the actor's actual eyes, because if we're gonna feel for this Bigfoot, like eyes being more emotive is important. And then also Kevin Peter Hall apparently helped design what the Predator looks like,
Oh.
because they were gonna do a purely CG Predator, and it was not working.
I can
Uh,
imagine that looking
y-
awful.
yeah, and also like the guy that they were having be like the stand-in for the Predator. A big thing is they realized he's shorter than Arnold Schwarzenegger, and that is not making him threatening. Uh, so Kevin Peter Hall was 7'2". Um, but yeah, so they like had like a talk with him to discuss like what they were gonna do with the Predator. So they like were almost done with the movie when they hired him to be the Predator.
Yeah, there's a lot
And
of stuff I like to watch that's like I got really into watching this one guy who's really into foraging, and he was explaining why foraging apps aren't necessarily helpful and are maybe dangerous, and I have zero interest in foraging. I don't want to eat
Mm,
plants I pick up off the ground. But it's I don't know. I it's nice to hear about people who have interests that aren't my interests. I think
yeah.
I like it.
I I follow a guy named Viper Keeper on here, and he keeps hot herps, which is the term for
Venomous snakes.
extremely venomous snakes. And we're
Venomous
talking,
snakes.
yeah, like we're talking fucking cottonmouths and pit vipers and shit that will absolutely kill you. And he keeps rooms and rooms full of them. And you know what? I never want to go to his house. I never want to touch a fucking cottonmouth. I never want to touch a fucking pit viper. I don't want to touch a gaboon viper. I don't want to touch any of these horrible creatures that he handles so casually. But it's kind of fascinating looking around his room, his snake room, and just kind of like seeing he's
Herps
thought
is
about
what
this.
they're called pretty commonly.
Yeah, hot herps is what they herps is herpetology,
Yeah.
But
That's what they're called by the enthusiasts pretty broadly.
yeah, there is a wow, there's just a lot of stuff that's clearly there in case he is not just bitten but incapacitated and cannot help himself. So every snake has like a label on their door that tells you exactly what they are, exactly what antivenom to use, exactly which hospital has it and who to call. If you find him like lying on the floor and that snake's enclosure is open and that snake is missing, here is what you do. And it's just one of those things that's like, wow, just inches from death at all times.
Well,
Okay.
I think that's why YouTube sucks in a lot of ways, but YouTube's kind of saved my life and a lot of others because my favorite, I just really like listening to people talk. I really, really just like even strangers. I'm the weirdo who likes to talk to strangers at the grocery store and wants to hear. I just like that, and I haven't, obviously, for many reasons, that's not been possible. And YouTube's kind of allowed me to sit and listen to this one person talk about this thing they like, and I get to just like nod and go, tell me more about the thing. And that's been great, and I missed that shit.
You know who I get a lot of that from? Your Movie Sucks. Your Movie Sucks does a lot of deep dives on film, and actually, if you look back in his archives, Folding Ideas does some interesting movie analysis too. And like the Folding Ideas,
I miss the puppet
the Folding Ideas video about Suicide Squad, where he talks about editing and how important editing is, and talks about how Suicide Squad fails on an editing level, is really interesting, even though I have not seen Suicide Squad and, have no interest in like the professional part of cinematography. But him just talking about these interesting common sense things that never occurred to me is really cool. And Adam, Your Movie Sucks, when he talks about like the parts of film that this is why I didn't like this movie. And he just has these really interesting rational arguments of what makes a good movie versus what makes a bad movie. It's just fun to listen to.
Yeah, I do think sometimes you gotta take a lot of that stuff with grains of salt. I think I've encountered a lot of people watching channels like that and coming away talking about it like, well, I know how movie editing works now, and it's like, oh my gosh, please, no, it was one person.
One of the things he talked about in Suicide Squad, which was kind of interesting, is at some point there's a character who's really into unicorns. Like they're literally
this
listed
is a
as
really long. I'd say just go watch the video.
Oh yeah,
that's
sexual fetish.
Really long.
I really liked Folding Ideas' video about the several videos about 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah, a lukewarm defense of 50 Shades of Grey, I think he called them.
And it's because he's defending the movie because he is specifically talking about adaptation choices that made the movie better than the book. Much to the author of the book's anger.
I still badly, I will never do it because when will I have the time and the energy? I still badly want to do that podcast thing where I just interview people from various hobbies and trades about their hobbies and trades. But I want to talk to everybody about all their shit.
Spike, I couldn't get into the Your Movie Sucks guy because I feel like sometimes he belabors a point. Like I watched his Lion King one, and I feel like after the 20th example of the mic over peaking or whatever the term is for, like it's like I get it. They didn't mix their sound properly. We can move on now. Like
yeah, I get where people are coming from when they don't like that aspect of the Your Movie Sucks guy, but when he's also talking about films he really enjoys, I learn a lot too. Like he goes on about I'm thinking of ending things in one of his videos, and that was really interesting.
Yeah, man, I would love to. Like, I wanted to talk to Kelly Turnbull about her pigeons. Tell me about your birds.
Yes, I have actually developed an appreciation of birds from 3 different cartoonists. 3 different cartoonists have given me an appreciation of birds. One of them is Fable Siegel, who is the director of the Lackadaisy animated short. Another one is Trungles, who keeps laying hens in his backyard and photographs them and lovingly talks about them. And the other is Kelly Turnbull, who keeps
that chicken.
And Kelly Turnbull, who has doves.
I got to touch those pigeons.
They're dove
I'm
colored.
making the rounds. I'm gonna touch all of comics birds.
I keep sort of mentally categorizing them as doves because they're
Are
white,
you
but
in
I do think they're
comics? Do you
pigeons.
have a bird? Watch out! I'm gonna touch it.
And,
Mm.
Amanda, next Van Calf, you should go to Lena Pete's and touch her tiny bird.
Hell yeah!
Yeah, Alina has a cockatiel, I think.
I'm gonna touch everyone's birds.
So she has several birds.
Okay.
So there's 2 little cockatiels that are named Mary and Pippin.
Okay.
Because Alina and their husband are nerds.
Fair enough.
And so I think those are the current birds, but I forget if there is still a third bird or not.
I had this like list of like people and subjects. I just could never get around with it. I was gonna talk to someone who made like fursuits professionally. Ugh.
Fable used to have basically like bantam means small. Just
Yes.
they had this bantam rooster that was like I didn't even it was smaller than a football. It was really small, but it was one of those incredibly fancy bantam roosters. So it like it fit in the crook of their arm. It was so tiny. And I'm not like
oh yeah,
completely
I actually got to see their birds too.
Yeah, I am not like completely inexperienced in the land of roosters. I had the cliche grandpa's
I've
farm
been in
growing
Fable's
up.
house and I've touched their birds too. I
And
am really the bird toucher.
I know how and forgive me, lovers of roosters, I know how loud and shitty roosters can be, how capable of terribleness roosters are. And Fable's rooster was just so quiet and well behaved. It was like you'd barely even know it was alive and not just like a very high quality doll.
It's like a behavioral thing. It has certain triggers.
Yeah, but this rooster was just always so well behaved. I was very impressed by that
I feel like you
rooster.
haven't met a lot of roosters.
I have met a bunch of roosters.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I was joking about like meeting all of comics birds and touching them, but I really am on a tour of the United States touching everyone's birds.
Yeah.
Let me in your house. Let me touch your bird.
I'm surprised about the intersections between bird Twitter and cartoonist Twitter. Many
birds are
intersections.
social and cute and friendly.
Yeah.
And pretty. And also, a lot of them sometimes don't want anything to do with you, and that's just fine.
That's fine.
That's fine. I got stuff to do. It's okay that you don't like me.
Yeah.
I don't like birds flying at my head.
Well, I don't think many people do.
I'm okay with it.
Alina's birds like to sit on people.
Oh, okay.
And play with their hair.
One of my favorite memories is an emo eating hair. It was good.
An emu?
Yeah. It was it reached its like head through some fencing and grabbed some of my hair and we're just like tugging on it. And I was like, yep, having a good time.
When I was in the UK, Matt and I went to visit the Crystal Palace to see the Crystal Palace dinosaurs. If you've never seen them, you're in for a fucking treat. Google Crystal Palace dinosaurs. They're amazing. And part of the park where the Crystal Palace is has a sort of model farm for the kiddies to visit. And the model farm had goats. And one of the highlights of that particular trip to the UK was, looking down and the goat was really going at it trying to eat my leather jacket.
I really like goats. Goats are good.
Goats are tenacious.
I always think of like alternate lives, and I'm the kind of dumbass who likes like rough housing and being dirty and doesn't mind that shit. And in another life, I would just be like working on like an animal rescue or a farm or something, just being trampled and bloody.
Do y'all think about that sometimes? About like the lives you could have led instead of
I don't
like
think
being.
I could have.
Yeah. Well,
I just think
what I mean. Like if you had just sort of taken a left at Albuquerque, just in your brain, and the opportunities present to you.
Yeah.
Look, Amanda. I'm thinking in terms like because one of the things that I occasionally think about is when I was a kid. I remember saying to my mother, "I want to be an archaeologist," and my mother basically talked me out of being an archaeologist because at that time my parents both really wanted me to be a doctor, really, really, really wanted me to be a doctor. So they basically told me that was like the only decent job out there, period.
Man, this is a subject I cannot talk about because it will be just way too sad for a show.
And
Uh,
my mom's like, "You don't want to be an archaeologist." And, I was like 7. And I was like, "I don't?" And "No, you don't want to be an archaeologist because they're really poor and they're outside all day and it's hot and you're going to get, uncomfortable and they just dig in dirt and they're always dirty and they're always poor and they're always uncomfortable and sweaty and they smell and no one cares what archaeologists do." And just my mom was just sitting there fucking putting archaeology on blast. And I was like, "Okay." And I just sort of like walked away. And I sometimes wonder because I happened to marry a guy who had the kind of parents who were very encouraging of his interests and hobbies. And if my husband said, "I like X," his parents strived to find some X for him to do. Like, "Oh, I like the animals in the creek in the backyard," so they, sign him up for some science class or something at the museum. Something like that. That's just pulling that out of the thin blue air. But I sometimes wonder if I had that kind of parenting as opposed to the kind I ended up with. Like, would I be an archaeologist right now?
There are
Would I be
archaeologists who had bad parents.
Yeah, but you know what I
I
mean.
know, I'm just being
If I
silly.
hadn't been sort of like turned around and pushed in a different direction,
as
that I also
as
ultimately
a
didn't
child,
end up going in.
as a child, I wanted to be a vet, and then I realized all animals hate the vet. So,
Yeah.
um, uh,
There was like a
and
year I wanted to be a burn surgeon, and then I looked at what like burns looked like in actual hospitals. I was like, oh, never mind.
I think it's
Mhm.
also I realized I really don't like pus.
Hmm. I can't say I like pus, but
I
there are
I do
popping
not want to
communities.
No,
see it. Like
no,
I cannot
cut it out.
watch.
Be quiet.
I
I
can't
like them.
watch like any hoarder type thing because like it's basically like blood and guts everywhere does not bother me, but like
Infection.
the movie I had to like stop was Snakes on a Plane of all things because everyone like they get bit by the poisonous snake and then their like body starts to swell and discolor and like ooze and I was like I no.
I
Yeah.
like I like the popping subreddits.
Stop it.
It's great.
Do it
No.
on your own time.
It's
Not here.
amazing. Some of these
Not
people
here.
get the
Nope,
most
nope, nope,
enormous,
no.
like,
I can kick you. Guess
carbuncles.
who can mute you? Guess who can mute you? Guess who has that power? Me. You gave me the keys. You gave me the keys to the
I'm
Discord
just
and the YouTube.
sharing.
I can do all
I
these things.
I'm just sharing.
I
I'm just
can kick you
sharing.
from the call.
I can't even
I can
share.
remove you from the server.
I can't even
I can
share.
lock you out of the YouTube.
I feel unsafe.
Look, I've been given a lot of powers, and I only exercise them when you get gross.
I love you too, Abby. Oh my god. Okay, we have been streaming holy shit for 2 hours and change. So,
Let's
what do y'all
let's
Oh,
let's 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 let's
let's.
let's. I don't know. I'm being stupid for fun.
Oh, okay. Let's wrap it up. How about that?
Okay.
Okay. Everybody, thank you so much for coming. Sorry this one got weird and sad in the middle, and I can't help it. Sometimes I got to get weird and
I
sad
tried to
as
make it
well.
swerve.
Yeah. As usual, you can find me right there at iron_spike on Twitter. Please buy Iron Circus comics at ironcircus.com. You can also find all of our stuff on Amazon. Just as a little secret between you and me, we got a big sale coming up next week, so keep your eyes peeled for that. We'll be talking a lot about it on the Iron Circus Twitter, which is at IronCircusComix on Twitter. Iron Circus Comics spelled Comix. Um, you can also find Iron Circus on Instagram, and we have the Iron Circus Comics Facebook page. And hey, I am working really hard these days on a really dumb comic. We're about to finish chapter 1. That is on my Pillow Fort. That's at pillowfort.social/Iron Spike, all one word. It would make me feel really good if you read it and told me what you think. Please subscribe to the Iron Circus Comics YouTube And also like and favorite this.
Favorite.
Like and subscribe, excuse me. And hit the bell.
I'm Kel McDonald. I make comics you can read at kelmcdonald.com, including my webcomic, The City Between, about werewolves in the future. I also do a comic called You Are the Chosen One about 23 kids that got the same prophecy dream, telling them they're the chosen one. You can read that if you back my Patreon at patreon.com/KelMcDonald. I'm on Twitter as Kelhound, which is spelled like Hellhound but with a K. And I'll be at San Diego Comic-Con next week.
Condolences.
I might die. Come say hi before I catch COVID. And buy all my books. Oh, and I also during this stream, and also on other evenings, I stream drawing arts on my Twitch at twitch.tv/KelMcDonald. It ended earlier today because I was having that audio trouble and had to turn off my stream. But yeah, you should go subscribe to me at twitch.tv/KelMcDonald.
Mike, you should really make the pinned tweet like I told you.
Oh, I should, yeah.
Yeah, that just links to all your stuff so people can go follow all your stuff. It'll make it easier for them to read Blacada.
Yeah.
I'm Amanda. My Twitter is under my name. I have a pinned tweet that links to all my stuff. The end.
Okay, thank you, everybody. We appreciate you